Well, hello and welcome back to another CM Travels video. Thank you for joining me here today. Cue the intro. I know while you're here, you want to take a look at this lovely box. The Nikon Z14-24mm F2.8 S lens that Nikon Switzerland kindly sent to me. If you are not interested in seeing the unboxing, simply skip ahead down below. It's about to be unboxing time. Oh yeah! Of course, there's going to be more to this video other than just the unboxing. Got pictures that we're going to go through, put them up on Lightroom, and even check out some of the raw files that are produced by this beautiful little thing right here, the Z7 II. I hope they came in focus. I'm not a fancy YouTuber. I don't have a external monitor that's recording stuff, so if that wasn't in focus, my apologies. But I'll put up a little picture here of a Z7 II. Look at some of the raw files, and what better camera to pair with the 14-24mm F2.8 S. So stick around for that. I had a picture up, of course, on the screen, which has now gone over to the screensaver. But you know what? We're going to carry on with the unboxing. This is what you're going to get if you order the 14-24mm right now. I'm so excited. I don't know about you guys, but I love when these boxes arrive from Nikon. I get very excited, and I have to admit I did have a sneak peek inside. So what I just did there, just to open the top, I've done before, but I held on to it, wanting to get right stuck in to the lens itself to show you guys what actually comes in the box, which you obviously can't see now. There we go. So you open up the box, put it up in here, you get the towel, of course, lovely bit of nylon, I think, nylon, I don't know. It's got a nice big nickel. I want to see it. Let's open it. People at Nikon, I hope you know that I'm opening all the stuff. Forgive me, but it's quite cool to show you how nice this is. Very nice towel. It's like one of those dry towels. Amazing. Cool. Thank you so much for that. Next in our delicious box is, of course, all of your manuals, which sit on top. Now here in Europe we get a stack of them. English, German, French, Dutch. Oh my goodness. Okay, so you got all of them here. In every language that you could possibly imagine. With your warranty in it, by the way, so keep that. That's always good to keep. Next bit, open up this bit of the box. Ta-da! Then you get something else. Oh my word, what is it? It's a box within a box. Okay, let's have a look. These are going to be the famous hoods, I think, that I've been hearing so much about. Hood number one. Don't you love this material? Probably not so good for the environment though. Nikon, I hope you're doing something about that. Okay, this is the bigger millimeters. And this is for the 112mm filters that you can put on. I'll put it on the lens in a bit. We'll get back to this. Next filter, I think, is the normal small regular filter. Hoods. I'm saying filters, sorry. Ignore that. Hoods. These are the hoods. This is the smaller hood. I'll put it on, so don't worry. I think this is the regular sized hood. Then more of that. What is this? This is the hood cover for that big. Not for the big. Let me just show you. For your bigger hood cover. So that goes on a specific way. Like, this is the first time I'm doing this, so just bear with me. That doesn't go on there. That's not for this hood. That's just for this hood. It's not for this hood either. It's probably for the one that's on there. But anyway, these are the three things that you get. The cap and the two different hoods. Pretty cool. Right. Enough of that. That's what comes in your extra box. Ta-da! There's the lens. Let's get it out. I look a bit silly doing this, and I might skip 40 here because it actually takes a bit of, yeah, I'm not going to say the word I was going to say, but bravery, shall we say, to get this out of here. Voila. Chow box. Okay, this other side's coming off better. There we go. Small side, big side. The reveal. Boom! The 14-24mm F2.8 S lens. How amazing is that? Okay. First look. Of course, you get the display here, which you can change by pressing this display button. You can change from focus, the focus length, what the focus is, how many millimeters, and so on and so forth. It's really, really fantastic. Of course, another function button which you can add functions to. Auto focus, manual focus, beautiful build quality, really nice. It's typical. I've got the 500. I mean, this is the 500 PF ED lens BR. That's my stand. It's okay. And oh man, let's have a look. That in lens element there looks absolutely superb. Now it is a bit of a funny cover. It only goes on one sort of way like that, so that's really not coming off, which is really helpful. With another big aspect that people are talking about is how bulgy the old 14-24mm was, and this really isn't. So that's all the way out. I'm assuming all the way out. It's all the way in at 14mm, and there really it's hard to see probably the edge here, but it really is not bulbous at all. And you can, of course, not with this lens cap, but if we put on, there we go. Now the bigger lens cap like this, of course, it has a thread, and you can put 112mm filters on, instead of having the craziness, which then, of course, you can put your big, well, that's really not coming off. That's solid in the hand. Perfect, just like that. That's what it looks like with the big, quite big. Give me 1 second. I'll get the 20mm so you can have a size comparison. Here is the 20mm. Here is the 14-24mm. That gives you a good size comparison. This is, of course, now got the bigger lens hood and cap on. Roughly the same. If I just quickly, bear with me, and take that off, we can take the big lens cap off here. How nice is that? There's actually this little clip here. Perfect. Little clip helps you get that off. You then have your other regular filter hood. There you go. Hear that click? Very nice. Got these little clips here, which you saw me doing there. Little clip here. That's, of course, regular. That you won't be able to, doesn't come with any threads on it, so you can't put any threads or something like that on, but it's still really nice to have that as an option. Now I'm assuming that this can still go on even with that. Yeah, okay, perfect. So even with the regular size hood, you can still, of course, put your cap on, for those of you who are concerned about that. Let's get the regular size one off, and then we have a really decent comparison with the 20mm there. Really looking fantastic. So it is slightly bigger, not exactly wider if I'm honest, and doesn't have, of course, this display screen. It doesn't have the function button that none of the F1.8 S line lenses don't have any function buttons on them. So this is really professional grade. From what I've seen so far, and I don't want to repeat myself, this has got to be some of the sharpest glass out there at the moment, particularly at this quite difficult 14-24mm. So I'm going to take this outside. I hope you enjoyed that unboxing. It's now time to get stuck into Lightroom let's have a look at some of the images that you can get with this amazing lens.
Thank you for joining me. Just got over to the computer and I've opened up Lightroom and a couple of the images that I took of our wonderful Cocker Spaniel, Katie. Now, here is the first sequence, and an immediate thing that I found when shooting with this camera is that if you have a fast dog, it's not going to be keeping up with it. As you can see here from the first image, when we go to the next and the next and the next. So it does sort of keep some focus. However, her eye is not in focus here, and that definitely affects the image. But it's a brief look at just how wonderful this 14mm or 14-24mm looks at f2.8. Super shallow depth of field, very creative lens. Here she is now walking towards me. When I say walking, more of a run. Let's have a quick look at the sharpness here on the eye. Looking really, really good. It's captured that really well. This is a simple, literally a normal JPEG file quality. Don't worry, I have taken raw images as well to compare them, so you can have a look here. Really like the paw in the air, but as you can see, I'm actually shooting on aperture priority mode, so I have managed to blur this a bit. But here's a look at some of the images in terms of the focus. So we go on to the next one. Still in focus. Ear is now become in focus. Ear is still very much in focus. The eye, it's just missed the eye and is rather focusing on the ear. And then, of course, as she gets close to me, she goes out of focus. This next sequence is quite nice because she's actually sniffing something on the ground here, on the grass, and the focus is really nice around the eye. We head over to the next. It's still managed to maintain that focus edge here, although has missed it slightly and has moved actually up into this, onto her hair here on the top of her head, rather than maintaining the eye focus on animal focus mode. That's what I've got the camera on, and I am shooting with a Z7 II, which is pretty cool, at 5 frames per second, so at the most frame rate per second. And here when she gets even closer, now she's very close to me, of course, and the continuous focus hasn't got her at all. Now this is just to show you what the focus is like. But here, I love this shot here. The two leading up to here sort of give you, and that's at 19. You'll see my settings up here. Then this is at 19mm. If I had shot this even more at 14mm, it would have been really, really cool. And this is the kind of imagery that you can capture with these super wide, ultra wide lenses. Now on to the next. Just a nice shot of her looking out over the hill into the mountains here in Switzerland. Very nice one as well. Here again, I just wanted to show you this. Finally, I've got it at 14mm. I have, of course, I was trying to use it at all the different lengths or the focal lengths that it had. And here it's nice and really wide at 14, and this is really cool. The name escapes me now, but there was a wonderful photographer who took photographs of dogs catching treats, and this is how they did it, or he did it. A very, very wide lens. And this is not, I mean, this is just for perspective. Of course, she's moving towards me, and it just didn't work out at that time to get her looking down into the camera. But these are the sort of, our eyes are not used to seeing this low angle, such wide. So to get at something like this, the lens is really, really super creative. Here again, she's looking back, and this is just to say that the camera did in fact get her eye in focus here. Still shooting at f2.8 and at 14mm and ISO 100. So it's a really nice little shot. These are all just examples to show you what the JPEG files are like coming off this lens. Very nice, very sharp. There again, it's still got her eye in focus, which is really nice. Here she's sitting down, or no, sorry, it's not sitting down, but she's standing, and she's much, much stiller, and that is much better in terms of just being able to see the focus on her eye. And this is still at f2.8, so really, really nice, great separation. We are really close to this tree, by the way, just behind us, and the 2.8 really gives you some very, very nice separation from the background. Of course, the angle is not perfect. I would have rather had her blue the blue sky behind her. And here, when we go over to just a quick develop, even if I lift the shadows here, now this is a JPEG file, it looks really, really cool. Unfortunately, I do think that it's just missed the focus here. But with a bit of sharpening, you could probably get away with it. Let's put it on the eye. I think this one's more in focus. And if we added just a little bit of sharpening, really improves the image quite nicely. But this is just, please, this is just examples. And, you know, again, I'm shooting it wide at 14mm here on the top right of the screen where my mouse is. You can see how lovely and wide this angle is. It's a really, really nice lens. Here again, let's see what we can do. Up the shadows. Oh, wow. Look at that. Really, really good. And this is a JPEG file. We can get into the raw files in a bit, and you can really see the magic that happens there. Again, these are just to show you how the aspect really changes and looks fantastic with this 14mm. Really, really cool. This is a really nice one. Unfortunately, of course, didn't get her eyes in focus. I would have much preferred to get her eyes in focus. I think I can actually lift the exposure a bit here, bring down the shadows as it were. But yeah, again, this is to try to show you just how shallow this depth of field is at f2.8. Those of you who are looking at the prime lenses, the f1.8s, yes, they do get more separation, but this at 2.8 is absolutely fantastic, right on the nose, looking fantastic. But there is the winner. So here, absolutely fantastic. There it is. That is the Instagram shot right there for you folks at f4. And here, if you remember, if I go back to the f2.8 and how much is this step? Yeah, how much separation? Sorry, let me go to one. There we go. That's really shallow depth of field, like literally just this nose section, a little bit of the nose going up towards her eyes is in focus. And actually here, there is a bit of lens flaring. I didn't speak about the lens flaring earlier, but I will in one of the other shots I have taken shooting into the sun to see if there's lens flare. But this is the first image that I've seen flaring, but that's because I lifted the shadows. If I take the shadows down, nope, still there. You don't see it first, but there is. That's okay. So be aware of that, of course. Did I give this another minute? A little bit of it here. Hey, so the sun, of course, is coming from the right-hand angle here, and that really, yeah, it's obviously catching that lens perfectly to get a bit of flare. So I have seen other people talk about this lens and there is no flaring. And now when I go through some of these, see there, the lighting's really good. Here, you see, that's almost directly into the sun and there's no flare that I can see there. But I've obviously just caught a strange angle here from the sun and it's caught that glare. So these, yeah, so there we go. They do flare. Anyway, getting back to my point of depth of field, to f2.8, see how shallow it is. And then when we go to our nailed focused one at f4 here, you can see beautiful focus right on her, and that is without any sharpening whatsoever. As you can see there in the detail, this is no changing in editing, it's just straight off. Let's see what we're shooting at 19mm at f4. Again, yes, I wanted to show you this depth of field at f4 compared to the f2.8. It still has really, really nice depth of field even at f4. Next one looks absolutely wonderful. Got a couple in a row there, and the sequence as she looks down, of course, it loses the focus again. Here, I've tempted her with a treat, and again, it's just such a lovely shot here. Again, though, just keep double checking that you are getting the focus on or right onto the animal, because the eye focus with the animal tracking mode sometimes can let you down. Now to our raw files. Here we have at 24mm, really nice to be able to, of course, use the different focal lengths with this lens. It is more versatile. You can go from 14 to 24 and of course all the way down to f2.8. So the versatility does give you some really nice creative possibilities here. And over the next couple of images, I'll show you what the change is like when you go from 14 to 24. But here again, the animal tracking has really nailed it, really nice. This is just, I mean, you can see I haven't edited these, really just to show you what is this lens is capable of. And if we go here and I say, okay, there's the sharpening. Take that down. I mean, it's absolutely amazing what's coming out of this lens. It's super, super sharp. If you sharpen it more, give it a little bit of a luminosity, and of course, this is, if you don't know about this little trick, hold down the Alt key. That of course concentrates the focus not onto the background but on here. And look, not everything's perfect. The horizon, it's not, but this is just to show you what the lens is capable of. If we go to the next one here, this is really super creative at 14 millimeters, a little bit of a low angle, and got her as she was stepping forward. And let's see what magic we can create here. Let's take the sharpening down to start with, and always just lift the shadows. Basically, I'm happy with the overall. Look how nice that is. Add a bit of clarity. You can of course change temperature if that's something. This is such a personal taste for everyone who edits images. I want a little bit more pop, so add some vibrance. You can also, of course, add saturation, but I don't often add saturation if I don't have to. And maybe just a little bit of contrast there. And look how nice that is. Unfortunately, here again though, it's got the nose in focus and not the eyes. All of these photos are taken with the animal eye focus, or the animal focus on, so sometimes it does miss the eyes. But of course, at 14 millimeters and at 2.8, you're probably asking a lot from the camera, and of course the lens. Here I've stopped down to f11. Boom, 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 boom. A little bit of a chance to look at the sun star effect, which you do get from this lens. Just in case you didn't believe me, I have stopped it down there to f11, and any of the other settings perhaps you might be interested in. Sun stars look great, and no flaring, at least that I can see. I was surprised to see the flaring before, actually. And here we go. So here now I've changed the, of course, I'm now shooting into the light is obviously going down, and it's more shadow effect. And actually, what I have changed, I've changed it to spot metering, and that of course then just, if I'm focusing on this area, then it basically, what it does is it exposes for this area alone. So of course, if I put this on, you'll see, oh, there's a lot of detail lost in the highlights. And that's just what I was trying to go for here. If I'm shooting in the, let's just, sorry, take that back to 0. If I'm shooting in low light situations, and particularly in shadows, I often switch over to spot metering, and that means that the animal with which I'm trying to capture, in this instance is the wonderful Katie here, I do tend to like this look. But one thing I would like to change is perhaps the eye, but you can go into that and edit. If I go here and I go, okay, that's a bit too big, let's make that smaller. And I just want to lift that area of the eye. There we go. If I zoom in, just lifted that eye a little bit. It's not too much contrast. Bring that back. Not too much, bit of clarity in that area. Okay, cool. Go back to the overall. Let's zoom out, and there we go. I've lifted the eye just slightly. If I press the Y button here, you can see just by lifting that eye a little bit from the shadow, really draws in. See, I haven't done much there. I've just literally brought up a little bit of the exposure to bring that eye back in. So there you have it. So there is, yeah, there is a really nice look here. It's, of course, in a chance as well. I try to get some of the foreground in here so you can see how much or nice blur you can get with the bokeh here at f2.8 with this lens. Of course, then the animal in focus there. This is also a really nice one, I think, personally. And again, here I'm at 14 millimeters 2.8, really shallow depth of field, beautiful on her eyes. I'm just gonna, because this is a raw file, it wants to be edited. So, okay, I think still needs a bit of exposure, and I'll just, let's go into a quick gradient here. Not the right way. This lift, no, sorry, shadows is what I'm trying to lift. And there you go. So that's given it a really nice bit of look there. Let's go back to and do a little compare. And there we go. How nice is that? And again, these are just to give you a look at what that 14mm looks like. Really fantastic. And if you've got a willing subject, it allows you to really be creative with the shots. Here again, these are sorts of, you're super close. You have, I think it's 28 centimeters or something like that in terms of the focus distance. Lovely look. This is a very busy background, and it's managed to make it look really good, even considering that it's busy as all hell. And again here, I mean, look at this. Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, I've hardly done anything to this image. I've lifted the shadows, basically. That's all I've done. And look how nice a difference is. Absolutely wonderful. And again, here it's got the focus really good. You can see even me in the eye here taking this picture of the wonderful Katie. And if we go down and we're here, you can add some sharpening if you don't think it's sharp enough. Of course, I don't want that to be sharpening the whole image. I just want it to be focusing on that eye. And there you go. Super, super nice. And really, again, this is the 14mm at f2.8. If these are the kind of images that you wanted to get, they are absolutely gettable with this lens. Now, here's another image, and I just love this image so much. It's really just sort of sums up the afternoon that I had with lovely Katie and why I really love photography in general. We went out for a walk. She was absolutely being wonderful as a portrait model, and I got to use the Z7 II, which by the way I'll be doing a review on next week. So if you're interested, hit that subscribe button. Greatly appreciate it. If you like the content so far, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up. But back to the image. Here she is. She's super calm now, and it gives me a chance to really get at as low an angle as possible. I'm literally lying in front of her as she's lying. I'm mirroring her posture basically and taking an image of her at this lovely 14mm f2.8. Yeah, try to forget the background for now and just imagine it as this beautiful blue sky. But this is the aspect ratio that you're trying to get. It's absolutely amazing. And again here, lifting the shadows. I could probably lift that exposure just a little bit there. Once you lift the shadows on these sorts of images, they really start to take shape. I think that's probably too much sharpening. Let's do a mask. Just want it on that eye and these ears here. So lovely. Add a bit of clarity. I like to add a bit of contrast as well. Really get some rich colors. Let's see what the colors can do in this. Look at that pop. And if you increase the saturation, you see, this is why I don't increase saturation. But the vibrancy there looks really nice. So that's a beautiful poppy. Let's compare the two together. And you've taken this to that. This lens allows you to do this sort of a thing. It's super versatile. The shallow depth of field at f2.8 is absolutely fantastic. As you saw before, however, don't expect it to now focus on a moving subject. However, if the subject is still, you will have these sorts of images that you can get. Super creative. I love the low angle for wildlife. If you haven't already seen the nightscapes, if you're into night photography and want to do that sort of a thing with this sort of lens, please head across to his channel. I'll put a picture up of it here. Go ahead there and have a look at what he thought of the 14-24 f2.8. I believe, spoiler alert, that he still thinks the 20mm is better.
So folks, there you have it. Took the lens out, tried it out. Fantastic lens if you need or are looking for those kinds of photos. Now, of course, the big thing is that it is part of the Holy Trinity, the 14-24mm f2.8, the 24-70 f2.8, and then of course the 70-200 f2.8. But let me quickly remind you of the costs of those three lenses. I've written them down. So this 14-24mm f2.8 is roughly right now about 2,250 US. This 24 to 70 is another 2,000. The 70 to 200 is another 2,400. Roughly 6,650 bucks. A lot of money. However, I've got a plan for those of you who are perhaps thinking, my God, that is a lot of money. Personally, you can go with the 20mm, which is about 930, and the 50mm. These are both f1.8s for 570 bucks. That 50mm f1.8, I promise you, is the bargain of the century. It is such a sharp 50mm lens, amazing good quality. Then of course you can't get around the 70 to 200, just can't get around it. There is only that lens currently out there at the f2.8. So if you took the 20mm and the 50mm f1.8s and the 70 to 200 f2.8, you're looking roughly about 3,900 US. I'll put the numbers up here next to me so that we know what's going on. Now, if that's still out of your budget and you're really thinking, oh, I'd like that range of lenses, you can always go with the 35mm, which is roughly 800. Throw in the 50mm, 570. Honestly, still, again, such a bargain lens. And then the 70 to 200, leaving you at around roughly 3,800-ish, plus minus. But of course, you still need a camera as well, so it's a bit expensive, isn't it? For me personally, I think the 50mm is a great lens, the f1.8, and at 570 bucks, it's an absolute steal. I would look for mounting a 70 to 200, or even for me, I need a longer focal length with one of the f-mount lenses. Yes, you're not going to get the same speed and autofocus, which could let you down, but you know, if means must, you can always get an f-mount lens, which is superb. The FTZ adapter, which I've put or done reviews on up here, is really, really good. So if you're not ready yet to invest that much money in getting your holy trinity, don't be scared of looking at a couple of these other f1.8 lenses, of which I've done a couple of reviews. 50mm, superb. 24mm, 35mm, they are 20mm, all very, very, very good and very sharp lenses. Now to end, I just want to thank you. If you've stayed this long, thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. It gives me great, great pleasure to keep bringing you content that's engaging and rewarding. I must tell you as well, of course, that this is Nikon sending me gear. I don't get paid to do the reviews, but yes, they do send me gear for free, and then I send it back to them. And I'm open to give my honest opinion on all of the gear that I do. So I hope you found this honest. I hope you found it interesting. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I'm going to try get my hands on the Z7 II, as well as some of the other lenses which I have yet to put out into the field and really try out. I've been doing all of my film work recently with the Z6 II. I will be going back to the Z6 and comparing the overall, because having had the cameras for longer gives me a lot of time to really get into the nitty-gritty of it and realize small different things here and there. And I still think the Z6 is an absolutely fantastic lens. I've got the Z50 with me as well, and yes, I put up the comment here about trying to film handheld with the Z50 and the 20mm f1.8, which is an absolutely superb lens. And I'll also try to do the settings that I use with the Z50 coming up in future videos. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you liked the video today, hit that thumbs up. It helps me create good energy with the YouTube algorithm, all that boring stuff that you don't care about, but it affects the channel greatly. Once again, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.